Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at our first brand new offering from what I've come to call kind of the big four in the world of budget knives. And by that, I basically just mean the four best companies, in my opinion, that are currently making budget knives, that being knives under $100. Now, those four companies, in case you don't know, in my opinion, are Civivi, Kaiser, CJRB, and this company right here, Vosteed. And what we are taking a look at today is none other than the Vosteed Chipmunk. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see and you want to see the lists, the content, the reviews, all the fun stuff all year long, be sure and hit the subscribe button, and I will continue to bring you all that content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length coming in at 6.15 inches, a blade length of 2.64 inches, and a blade thickness at 118 thousandths. Blade material on this guy is 14C28N. We have a modified drop point blade right here, as well as flat grinds with a handle length coming in at 3.51 inches, a handle thickness at 4.88 inches, and handle material of G10. We have a liner lock for the locking mechanism and a user of a right or left hand tip-up carry. A weight coming in at 2.53 ounces, designed by Yudong, who is basically the head of Vosteed, and a price of a very nice $59. Not too bad at all. Let's take a look at some size comparisons and see how this little guy measures up to some other Vosteeds. Probably the most well-known Vosteed here, the Raccoon. Much shorter than the Raccoon. The Chipmunk is named the Chipmunk for a reason. The Chipmunk's a small animal, and this Chipmunk is a small knife. The only smaller knife that comes close to comparing with this is this guy right here, the Vosteed Mini Nightshade. And don't mind the tape gunk. I didn't feel like cleaning the blade. And surprise, surprise, I use my knives, guys. But as you can see, it's pretty close to the Mini Nightshade, but still shorter. And when you get outside of Vosteed, there are a couple other good size comparisons that I thought were worth putting on the table here. We have the Kaiser Mini Sheepdog, as well as this guy right here, the Civivi Odium. So that should definitely cover size comparisons for just about everyone there. And as you can see, very close in line with both the Mini Sheepdog and the Odium in terms of overall length. There you go. It's a nice little... It's kind of like a borderline fifth pocket knife. If your fifth pocket is bigger than average, this would fit in it. But if it's more on like the side of like Levi's or Wranglers, probably not going to fit in that fifth pocket. Or it may sit in it, but you know, the actual pocket may be just short of the clip. So kind of whatever. But either way, still a nice little small EDC carry here. And there's a few things that make it really nice, that kind of make it stand out from other smaller knives. The blade, in terms of performance, the blade's very average, which is not bad because nowadays budget knives are really good. So an average performing blade is actually a really good performing blade. What makes this a modified drop point is basically this little line right up here. It's basically a little clip. So some may call it a clip point, but the term Vosteed gave it was modified drop point. So you tell me, modified drop point or clip point. I do tend to go with the modified drop point here just because it is a very slight little clip, so it could really go either way. I really like how the black wash on the blade kind of brings out the subtle lines because you have a really nice swedge up there, and then you have extra little angular attention up here where the clip is. So that black wash really brings out the lines, and it just makes this knife look a little better, in my opinion, to highlight all the really pleasant aesthetics of this blade. Now, outside of aesthetics, it still has a pretty nice edge at 18 thousandths, which is actually really good for this blade because usually typically, smaller blades are going to be a little narrower because they're not going to be as long as other blades. So sometimes you lose that thinness behind the edge, but 18 thousandths is still a really good thinness. So like I said before, it's going to perform very well. And as you can see right here on this thing, it has just about every deployment method imaginable. Thumb studs for all types of flipping and flicking. You have a front flipper tab, and you have a flipper tab here that's rather interesting. It's basically just kind of a little, it's almost like a flap. It doesn't move. It's one part. It's not like a GTC design or anything. It is fixed, but a very interesting flipper tab. We'll talk more about that when we get to the action portion of the review. But now let's talk about the handle, because this handle, for a small knife, it's got pretty good ergos. Better than average for sure. And what's really unique about this particular handle here is I actually prefer this grip right here. I think this grip right here is perfect for me. Now, granted, that's only a 3-finger grip, but if you kind of choke up here and put your index finger up where just kind of the front of the handle is right under the blade, kind of acts like a finger choil. It's not a finger choil, but it kind of, it has a pleasant enough feel to where you could definitely use it like this and it wouldn't bother you at all. Some people would prefer not to do that. Some people are fine with it. I could really go either way, but I really do like this grip right here for a couple reasons. One, my index finger locks into this kind of circular area here, and it makes for an extra secure grip. Two, the contoured G10 shines a little more. It feels a little more contoured when I'm holding it in this position. And three, this pocket clip. So normally, you guys know, one of the first things I'll complain about on a knife is a pocket clip being too big. And when I unboxed this knife and was looking at it, that was my first thought, was like, oh my God, why did they put the same size pocket clip on this that is on like the full-size Raccoon? Because this is the exact same clip, just, coated black instead of, a satin finish. And I wasn't sure how I felt about that. But then I got into this handle and I thought, okay, I think I know why they did that, because it really does feel so, like, just the way the clip comes down, the way it's bent over and comes down to where there's not too high of a ramp. The ramp is very minimal here. It's enough to go into your pockets just fine, but it's not too much to where you'll feel that. So when I'm holding it right here, as you can see, this part up is like, or the ramp of the clip is pressing right into my index finger there, but I don't feel it at all. Like, it feels very, very nice. And with that happening, it helps the ramp part of the clip that's going down and the actual bent over part. It just feels really comfortable in my hand, and it really kind of helps fill my hand out. And yeah, it just feels pretty darn good. For a small knife, I don't really have any complaints. And if you're someone that likes to choke up on your knives and get closer, this actually feels pretty good too. You just you lose that comfort of the gap in your index. So it's still totally manageable, and I don't think would really be a bother to anyone. But like I said, when I carry this knife, when I'm using it, I will definitely be having it in this position right here, because that feels quite nice. I also really like the filler tab for the pocket clip on this knife. For a $59 knife, a lot of times they won't come with a filler tab, because that's an extra cost. There's an extra time in cutting that tab out. There's extra time in milling that into the handle. There's all sorts of extra time that goes into this little feature, but it's very, very nice for the lefties out there. I'm sure they all really appreciate it, and they want to keep seeing it. So hopefully Vosteed keeps that up, because that is a really nice little perk for those who are left-handed. It'll give them the same quality, same good-looking knife as the righties. And with the black on black, it looks very, very nice, blends in very well. One thing that is important to note here, if you buy this knife, you will not get this little kind of like ornament logo or whatever on the pivot. This is actually something they put on me. This was part of a little Christmas package they sent to me. So you will not get that on there. And to be honest, consider yourself lucky. I would rather have a neutral pivot myself. Just my personal opinion. But yeah, so the ones that come will just have a nice clean pivot. And I gotta say again, the way Vosteed marks their knives, they don't put anything annoying on the pivot. They don't put anything annoying on the blade. They put a nice, clean Vosteed logo right there. It looks like it belongs. It looks great. That is one thing. As much as I like to see, variety and unique aspects from one company to another, I honestly wish every budget knife company, Civivi, Kaiser, CJRB, all of them, I wish they would all mark their blades just like this. It's just so nice. It's out of the way, but it's still there. It couldn't be better for me. I think that's perfect. So please keep doing that, Vosteed. Either there or there, either one. But I love that little touch. It's so clean. It looks good, and it's just awesome. And I would also not mind seeing that go away. But you guys know, you already know. You've probably heard that before. Going on to the action portion of this review, and this is where it gets fun, because this knife is it's very smooth and it's very fidgety. There are all sorts of deployment methods for this knife. Let's run through them right now. We have your regular flip here. which works very, very well. You can kind of go like that. You can take the real aggressive route and whip it out. You can also just do your regular thumb flick, which is very, very easy. You can also do your middle finger flick, which I really, really like on this knife. And then you go up to the front flipper area where you can front flip it. Now, the important thing when you're front flipping this, though, this is not a top flipper. If you put your thumb up on the top there, you're not going to get good results. You have to be in front of this little breaking point right here. So where my index finger is where you want your thumb to be, and then it is a pretty easy front flip. You got to get used to it, but I consider it very easy. And then this one is also, as you would imagine, reach around approved. And lastly, something that I'm not really good at, but I can do with this knife, the lighter flick. The lighter flick or flip, however you want to call it, is so fun. A lot of that has to do with this clip back here. It sticks out nice, gives you something to hold on to, and you can just pop that blade out. So always fun to do the lighter flip. I really struggle with it on a lot of other knives, so it's nice to have one I can do that on. So yeah, as you've seen, very, very nice, fun, fidgety, good looking knife, smaller knife. It's under that 3 inches for everyone. It's a very, very solid knife. Really good start to the year for Vosteed, and I cannot wait to see how CJRB, Kaiser, and Civivi answer the first model from the Big Four in 2024. But yeah, great little knife. I do hope to see a larger version. I would love to see a larger version of this with like a 3.3 to 3.5 inch blade. Make it happen, Vosteed. But let me know what you guys think of this version of the Chipmunk. I really hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.